Hello, Internet. IK Multimedia has a 6-for-1 group buy. Well, technically right now it's 5, but realistically, look, they're 6 people away from getting to that number, and you can buy more than one. So I'm going to give you my recommendations. Now, of course, they're full price right now, which, hey, that's fine, whatever. So I'm going to give you my take on what to get, depending on if you're a guitar player or just a mixing or mastering engineer. So this is for the engineers out there. ARC System 2. I told you guys recently I've been, back to testing this against the main player SonarWorks reference. And I've got to say, although ARC is definitely not as easy to use, when you use the MEMS microphone, which I have had since the end of 2018, actually before that, I think I had it in 2017. Anyway, the MEMS microphone makes it so that the microphone itself is more consistent, and the MEMS microphone takes out one of the primary reasons to get the reference collection, which is that they calibrate the microphones. Well, because the MEMS technology is so precise, it's less of an issue. And this retails at $200, so no, it's not cheap, but I say it's essential, because if what you hear isn't what you get, then what's the point? You can also get ARC if you buy their newer speakers. The microphone is included, but that's a lot more than $200, so I'm not really going to go there, but it is an option. So with that $200, you can get anything that's $199 or less. TRex V is the first thing that I recommend getting, and that's because it has this equalizer, which is a clean EQ. Every audio engineer needs a nice clean EQ. It's basically like FabFilter Pro Q3, except not really. But hey, I'm trying to stick to IK Multimedia products, and that is the first one that I would recommend to any audio engineer. Secondly, it has this cool thing over here, the Dynamu, which is an emulation of the Manley Labs Varimu. Typically you would use as a mastering bus compressor, but you can use it for other things as well, obviously. And finally, the other nice thing about TRex V, actually there's two things left. This is another mastering processor that will come in handy for sure at some point when you're mixing or mastering. But I think the biggest feature of TRex V is that it adds GUI scaling for all the other TRex modules. So, next up, British channel. This is an SSL 4000 channel strip emulation. It basically has been used on countless hit records, and it is the one I recommend. Although most people like this one, I actually like the white channel better. So if you get the British channel or the white channel, you'll be happy. But the white channel is a cleaner sound. It's more hi-fi than it is clean. So it's not 100% like a digital EQ, but it's close. I just like the way it sounds. To me, it sounds like pop music, although obviously you can mix it for any genre, but it is that pop EDM sound. So if you mix more modern music genres, then I would get white channel for sure. But again, either one you'll be happy with. White 2A is an LA2A emulation. The LA2A is a very easy to use compressor that works fantastic on vocals and bass guitar. It also sounds pretty good on snare drum. I'm not sure why, but you can try it on different things. I think people even use it on acoustic guitar, but for me, vocals and bass are where this shines, and since most songs have vocals, you should get this. Saturator X. Now, I was a little mixed on whether I should recommend this one first or the tapes, but here's the thing. This includes not just tape. If you look closely, it has 2 tapes plus a bunch of other things. Saturation is what gives your audio that analog flavor. Analog typically sounds more pleasing to the ears. Simply put, it makes your recording sound more professional, typically. You could also mangle them, But Saturator X has more flexibility than the tape emulations that I'm about to recommend. So I would recommend getting this one over the tapes. This is the first one I would recommend. It is an MCI JH24 emulation, and it was the tape machine that was used to record most of the hits of the 1980s and also 1990s. The Tape Machine 80 is an emulation of the Studer A80, which is another awesome multi-track recorder. So of the two, I would go with Tape Machine 24, but if you can get both, get this one as well, and also get Tape Machine 99. What does tape do to your audio? Well, just like Saturator X, it just makes them sound a little bit more professional, hi-fi. It takes away the harshness. It adds a little bit of a bump here and there. It just, I don't know, you have to try it on your material, and also make sure you listen to all your tracks with these tape emulations on them at the same time, because usually that's where you hear the difference. But I can tell you, I tried mix downs on these things, and yes, there was a difference. Moving on, the SSL Bus Compressor. This complements very well with your British channel or your white channel EQs. This, as they say right here, glues your mix together. Now, the Varimoo should take care of that, but if you don't like the Varimoo for whatever reason, then the next thing that I would recommend is definitely the bus compressor. I use this plugin on a lot of mixes. Not every time, because I can use a hardware bus compressor nowadays, but definitely prior to that becoming available, I would use this plugin a lot, along with Slate Digital's offering. But either way, Bus Comp is one of those plugins that kind of people forget about, because they released it after a lot of other companies did. It sounds good though. My recommended settings, 4:1 ratio, attack all the way to the slowest setting, release at the fastest setting, side chain at 60 or 150, and threshold where you're just kissing it, getting maybe 2 to 3 decibels of gain reduction. Grit on or off depending on your taste. A lot of times I'll keep it on. EQPB is an API 550B emulation. If you guys know me, I love API gear. And the next best thing after getting the real hardware is using one of these. And I believe that IK Multimedia's emulation is pretty darn good. So if you aren't happy with all the EQs I've already recommended, try this one out for a different flavor. Speaking of EQ, if you still aren't happy with all your EQs, I do believe that Master EQ 432 is still a darn good equalizer, and although yes, it is intended for the mix bus, you can use it different places as well. I use it on vocals sometimes. That's usually where I have it. I guess piano works well too, and if you are trying to notch out frequencies, but again, as I said earlier, only get this one if you aren't happy with all of your other equalizer options. Okay, for the guitar players out there, here are my recommended buys. First of all, get Amplitude 4. It is the foundation of the rest of the collection, and you will miss out on some things if you don't have Amplitude 4. So just get it, even if you don't like the emulations, which you should. You should like the emulations, but if you don't, then hey. But yeah, the bottom line is, it comes packed with a lot of amps and cabinets. Next up, out of all the other collections, I do believe that Amplitude Orange will get you the biggest tonal variety, because it has nice cleans, it has nice crunches, and even heavy gain as well. Although they are the older emulations, so some people will say they're not as good. I think just, again, even if they're not the best from a tonal standpoint, you're better off going with this. Look at all those different amps and cabinets you can get, including bass stuff. If you're a Mesa Boogie fan, then the Mesa Boogie collection, you can't miss it. because it has the dual rectifier. It has the triple rectifier. It has the Mark IV, and I believe the Mark III as well. Yep, the Mark III. Oh, and the transatlantic TA30. So you will get a large variety of Mesa Boogie sound. I believe that's how you pronounce it. From cleans to crunches to, of course, heavy gain. But to me, Mercurial Reaxis is probably the better plugin, but IK's isn't as bad. But if you're looking for maybe the ultimate sound, check out Mercurial. I know I'm saying that wrong. Mercurial Triaxis. And they also have a few other products as well. Anyway, back to IK Multimedia. Fender Collection 2. If you like cleans and crunches, this is the one to get, especially cleans. I love the way this plugin collection sounds. So, yeah. Next up, if you're a bass player or if you record bass guitar players, then Ampeg SVX2 is what I recommend because it's the newer one. It sounds a little bit more realistic, although their SVX1 collection is just as fine. SVX2 is the better option at this time. And yeah, I still use the regular old SVX, but I think SVX2 does sound a little bit better. And then we also have Jimi Hendrix collection. Oh yeah. So I think that you're covered with all the other amps that I've already recommended. But if you want some more, then the next one that I would get is Jimi Hendrix. Again, because it has the largest amount of tonal variety compared to the last ones that I recommend. Leslie, it's a rotary speaker cabinet. And if you're into that old school rock, then you need it. You know, if you have organs or clean guitar or whatever, Leslie is that sound of vintage rock and roll. And I mean, sure, you could use it on modern stuff, right? They've really dug in deep to get this to sound correct. And I would say that it's the closest to the real thing. I mean, heck, they have the original company's endorsement. That doesn't really mean anything necessarily, but just check it out. All these plugins can be demoed before you buy them, which I do recommend, by the way. Don't just take my word for it, but I do have experience with most of these plugins, and those are the ones that I recommend. The Slash Signature Collection is the final one that I would recommend, and that's because it has the least amount of tonal variety, but it does sound good, and I personally own it. So that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching this video. Get in on this deal now if you've been waiting to get some of the IK Multimedia plugins, because this is how I made my plugin collection big, by waiting for a sale like this. This is a heck of a deal, and you basically are getting 7 plugins for the price of 1, which is awesome. In fact, I might get in on this one. I might. We'll see. I probably will. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I don't need it, but I want it. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those deals. But anyway, thanks for watching. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Share it on Reddit and Slashdot and IRC channels and ICQ and AOL Instant Messenger, and put it on Napster as well, just for the heck of it. See ya.